Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the north corner of the map playing in red we've got Divine playing as the English, and his opponent in the south playing in blue we've got giveuanxiety playing as the Holy Roman Empire. Welcome everyone to Cliffside. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in the world, hope you're having a great day, and if you're not, well then I can only hope things will get better, and maybe this game will make you cheer up a little bit. We're going to be in for a banger of a game. The English versus the Holy Roman Empire. It's a special matchup. It's one of my most favourite ones because I think since Age of Empires 4 started, this civilization matchup has been incredibly dynamic in between different patches. Things have really changed up, I gotta say. And with two great players, top players in Age of Empires 4, we're going to be in for a banger of a game. I gotta say Divine, he is a bit of an English connoisseur. Has some really special English strategies. So if you play English yourself in Age of Empires 4, it is worth checking Divine out in his games, and obviously we're going to be checking him out today. But that's not Divine. I mean, that villager needs to get back to work. He was kind of idle for quite a bit of time there. It's unfortunate. Sometimes you would shift-click from the mill to elsewhere, but it is what it is. Mistakes have been made. Only slight mistakes, but at this level, to be fair, those kind of mistakes can be big. Either way, down in the south, the HRE with their, well, prelate, doing the prelate thing, right? Inspiring those villagers, 40% gather rate on these villagers is a really strong bonus. And I'm kind of excited for this matchup. The reason why is because the HRE has been very much commonly thought of being a Castle Age civilization. A civilization that does prioritize that particular age in Age of Empires 4. Things have slightly changed though with marching drills. I genuinely do believe that the HRE have always been pretty strong as a feudal age civilization, playing an extended feudal age, but things have obviously got a little bit more better for them, a bit more, I guess, they're a bit more in the limelight for feudal age pressure. Feudal age, play heavy kind of investment into feudal age because of marching drills. It doesn't seem like an incredible upgrade, but the extra movement speed on infantry can play a big role, especially on this matchup. Now, with longbows, always a possibility from the English. Regular archers can fare pretty well, especially with marching drills. The extra movement speed really does help them gap close, kind of nullifies the range a little bit from the longbows, and it does allow them to prevent a retreat from the English in a big way. Like, archers generally have a faster movement speed than longbows, but of course archers with marching drills is even more able to catch up and snipe those longbows down if they're going to try and retreat. Now, saying all of this stuff, longbows, typically associate them with the Council Hall, a very commonly placed landmark for the English to get to the feudal age. But in the most recent patch, I've got to say, it's not the most common landmark to be placed. We do start to see a bit more of Abbey of Kings being played for the king, for the English, and you can't really... It's such a good landmark right now. You get a free unit, you get a king for free, and what's more to be said? Why would you not want a king? Well, one of the reasons why you might not want it, and maybe the reason why Divine doesn't want it, is because he wants to put some earlier pressure rather than just sort of get the king to allow him to get to the Castle Age or a second town centre perhaps. Now, to be fair, a Divine might still go for a second town centre. In fact, I'm pretty much convinced he will because he's that type of player. He's very much of the style of a timing attack, but making sure he booms up heavily. Massive amount of villages being made and multiple town centres. Playing a condensed economy, that's what he does best. He loves that style of play for the English, and I can't imagine things will change here. Now, the HRE could just go for a sort of a straight Castle Age, and that could be an option. They have been known to do that in the past. But it's always a bit precarious, right? Up against the English, you always have to make some units, because of the threat of the longbows, especially with the Council Hall involved. And he's going to be investing in a stable nice and early to get some horsemen out here GUA to try and stave that off. But it does kind of come into the picture about how aggressive GUA wants to be. Does he actually want to do some damage, or does he want to just get military so he can get to the Castle Age at a good time and then snag up some of those relics, ideally with the Regnant's Cathedral? The balance of it is going to be interesting to see really how much GUA commits. I think he's the guy in this situation that kind of calls the shots on that. Either he tries to be greedy, just make a couple of horsemen and they go to the Castle Age, or he tries to put some pressure, do some damage, and then push the English back and make them suffer the consequences of trying to boom up, which is probably the case. There it is. There's a mining camp on the stone. So he's indeed going to go for a second town centre. Now, curiously enough, this is actually smart by Divine. Look at this. He could have potentially moved villages over to stone, and often you would have by now. But potentially, I think he's delayed it. He's delayed it very purposefully. Oh, this could be really key. He's placing a barracks, getting GUA to scout that out, and he might cancel that. This is kind of cool. He might just make it get spearmen anyway, because he probably knows that there's a stable now. But yeah, he's going to go for the spearmen and then get the second town centre. But really importantly, he waited till till the scout moved away. He waited till GOA scout moved away before he placed the mining camp for the stone and that second town centre. Really nice play and really nice awareness of that. A lot of people would just stick to the build order and say, hey, look, we're going to go on stone. We're going to do it at any time. Of course, Divine was patient. He recognised there was a scout there and made sure that GOA didn't see it too easily. He might lose a sheep here, though, to the horseman. That's unfortunate. Oh, it doesn't in the end. GOA not taking the bait. And he's continuing to make those horsemen. It's, of course, a very heavy food investment. We'll lose one horseman. No villager going down yet, and the spearman getting on hand to do a significant amount of damage as well. Villagers shoot off to take even more HP. Now, GOA, of course, will know about the second town centre play here, but will he be able to do anything to deny it? I mean, I'm not so sure. And bear in mind now that a lot of second town centre play do kind of revolve around the second town centre being placed quite conservatively, like quite close to their primary base, and that's even more the case for the English because they want to get those farms around the mill, and placing it close to the town centre means that Divine won't be pressurised too much because, you know, the horsemen can't even get beyond this mining camp before getting shot by the arrows from the town centre. English town centres are built different, by the way. They do have an incredible amount of damage, but they've got 8 bow attack times 2. The times 2 is the key issue. He's deleting the mining cap, and that must mean he's going to get a second town centre here. Right in range of the town centre, making sure that it can't be denied. Right, he's got to place it safely and securely. And playing as the English, it doesn't really matter. Like, that's kind of what you want to do anyway. GUA, though, going over to gold, and they're going to be getting a lot of them. Villagers onto gold, and that's going to mean it's going to go to the castle age relatively soon. Horsemen going to be looking to see if they can get value. Can't really. The villagers going to back away. There are a couple of archers, but ultimately Divine doesn't have to be too worried about this because the horsemen dive in and the town centers will do some damage. He does have to worry a little bit about the archers, but the villagers can shoot. They've obviously got quite a long reload time, but he takes out 1 or 2 villagers and archers rather, and he should be fine. Yeah, the town center will go up unless another mass of archers comes in from nowhere, but it's unlikely to happen. And GUA going to have to focus on the castle age, which he is now looking to do, getting the Relics Cathedral with 8 villagers. That should put him in a good spot to be able to pick up some of those relics nice and early. Starting to see those farms around the mill, town center going up. Oh, GUA needs to back away. He's getting way too close for comfort. And those villagers would garrison inside. If he gets any closer, does back away. A couple of spearmen, a couple of longbowmen chasing that away, and 2 town center is now up and running for the English. Now, I would like to say, take this opportunity to say a very big thank you for everyone supporting the channel, whether it be on Twitch and YouTube. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Every YouTube membership, every Twitch sub goes a long way to help support the channel and also help me keep things running, to keep posting content and all the rest of it, and try and hopefully host some show matches at times too. So thank you so much for the support. Appreciate it. The Relics Cathedral almost done. 8 minutes. 20 seconds, I would call it, maybe 22, that kind of time frame. Yeah, 20 seconds, bang on, 8 minutes, 20 seconds. So now it's going to look to get some of the prelates out to get the not sacred sites, the relics really. There's one already. Came out of the Ark and Chapel. Went straight over to pick one up. Picking the one in the middle as well, so it's going to be unfortunate for the English not going to be able to contest that really. But this is where things become interesting for the English. You've got 2 options to really commit to a feudal age pressure or go to the castle age. It looks like it's going to be feudal age pressure considering the number of longbowmen popping out. And also does have a couple of spearmen. So must be looking for a timing attack. Heading forward now with the longbowmen, spearmen and the scout leading the way. Outpost on the gold, which is exactly what you need to do in the stage because, you know, getting to the castle age is one thing. But being able to maintain constant production of heavily armoured units is another. Speaking of which, there are no knights on the field just yet. Could potentially think about going for man-at-arms. It's a unit that can't really be too easily countered. You know, the castle age man-at-arms at least. As we've got 1 relic in the bag. 2 more coming in soon, although... yeah, he's going to pick this one on the right side as well, potentially. Now, the concern for the English is that these units are particularly slow to move out, right? The infantry units, they don't move particularly fast, and so it does leave them a bit exposed here. Divine, you might lose out on the relics. Now, from this position, what's kind of interesting is that the English are going to be looking to put some pressure on the map with the units now, and they do have a second town centre, so the economy's going to be scaling. It's already got 8 extra villagers. So you do have to kind of nullify the the prelate getting the 40% buffering, but bear in mind, GUA, he seems to have stopped production of prelates, by the way. I'm not so sure about that, because you kind of want prelates all around the place to get their increased gathering. Like, he's going to need at least a couple of them. I mean, to be fair, he has invested in a decent number of prelates. So once they've come back home and got the relics in, he's going to have some prelates left over to get into the Archon Chapel and the gold and whatnot. Going to put the relic inside the outpost to offer that extra bit of protection. Looking to even get the sacred site. So he's really kind of going for the mid-map objectives. There is a knight on the field in the middle just to keep an eye on things. Longbows do snipe out the prelate, unfortunately, so that relic won't be coming in particularly soon. He does get the sacred site, and of course, Divine can't be in every location at once, so it's kind of forcing him to make decisions of what he denies. Possibly going to get the sacred site on the west side too. Second knight on the field for GUA. 10 villager lead, and so this is going to be kind of interesting. Like, the English are going to have a really good power spike, and the Castle Age going to have plenty of resources, be able to produce a lot of units. And it looks like maybe, considering the amount of food and gold that GOA has, he might be slowly itching towards an Imperial Age. Units on the right side of the map, decapping that sacred site. The one on the west side is capped. And 3 relics in play. Regnus Cathedral as well. This is looking good. That's kind of the price you pay for going for 2 town centers as the English. But it has 12 extra villagers, and that's, only going to get worse. Having said that, if GUA does go to the Imperial Age with the Palace of Swabia, he's going to be able to catch up on villager count, and of course he will need to survive for that kind of 10-15 minutes, so there is a window here. There is a big window of opportunity for the English to do some damage, especially if GUA is opting for the Imperial Age, which it looks like to be the case, right? Because he wants to catch up in economy. It can't just always be 2 town centers versus 1 town, so there's only one window in that scenario. And so the HRE going to be opting for an Imperial Age very soon. And that gives a timing. Gives Divine some time to put some pressure on. Bear in mind, Divine is actually only in the feudal age still. It's kind of crazy to think about, right? It's going to go to the castle age now. 12 minutes on the clock. It's not like it's a super late castle age. It just shows you, how quick the HRE get to the castle age themselves. And that's a lot of villagers building at 18. He's really looking to get to the next stage quickly. And by the time he gets there, GUA might be on the way to the Imperial Age. He's invested in a handful of units. Will it be enough for him to support a tech up to the next stage or not? That's the question. Gotta go for devoutness. Inspired villagers gather resources an additional 10% faster. And they construct buildings and defenses 25% quicker as well. So this is kind of important, right? 50% gathering boost on these villagers. It really helps buffer out the villager deficit that he has right now. Divine now getting to the castle age with the White Tower in a very kind of defensive position, as you'd expect. No real... you didn't really expect anything different from that, really. With 5 relics, by the way, this is crazy. He's actually got every single one of the relics, GUAs. That gold must be coming out of his ears. Look at that. He's got 0 villagers and gold, but he's getting 900 food per minute. I mean, that's the equivalent of, say... it's a lot, okay? Each villager usually gathers around 40 resources per minute, depending on what type of resource it is. So that's about equivalent of 20 villagers, is it? Is that right? Is it actually 20 villagers? I guess it is. That's kind of crazy to think about. Well, either way. Cavalry moving north. Moving back south. Not much to talk about there, but just keeping the units kind of on the map just to see what might be coming his way. It certainly seems like the Palace of Swabia should be coming out soon. He's actually being able to go onto Deer Camp on the west side and could potentially take the boar. Now, the bigger concern for the HRE as well is that whilst we talked about a timing window, if GUA does go to the Imperial Age, which he is now with the Palace of Swabia, once he techs up, and as soon as Divine gets a notification, that might be the time for Divine to actually start pushing, because he's pumping out units. And the big problem for GUA as well is that whilst he is going to get to Imperial Age, he could potentially get the cannon emplacements inside the outposts. But the big concern is that when he gets to the next stage, it's very expensive to upgrade these units. It's very expensive, so he might not really necessarily have the economy for it just yet. There's always a bit of a lag time for the Imperial Age units to be upgraded for the HRE if they go this early, because they don't have like a crazy economy to be able to support that. More importantly, speaking of economy, he might need to start seeding some farms for the food income, which again is very heavy on the wood, which he does have plenty of, 1,000. Maybe he's looking to get mangonels though, and that's probably a good idea because these units, mangonels, they can be made to work really well, like pound for pound, bang for buck if you like. They've got some good damage output, so if you can get a couple of shots off, they can really pay for themselves. And when you don't really have the abundance of resources just to keep pumping out units, you kind of need something to buffer your way. But here at this point, Jiwei has to find a way to hang on up against an English push from the Castle Age, but also more importantly, he's going to hang on so that he can transfer his economy onto farms. And there we go, there is the transition now. Now, whilst this does go up, I mean, it's not too terrible. It's 50% gathering on these farms, so the food will come in quick time, but it's still an investment that has to be made in a very kind of sharp way. Whereas the English, of course, have already had the farms slowly being added in, slowly but surely. So he is well set up now. Divine just keeps pumping out units at this point, slowly gets to the 200 population capacity most likely as he continues to produce, and then possibly thinks about the Imperial Age. I have to say though, if the push doesn't come in now soon for Divine, GOA will catch up on the villager count and economy, and then it becomes tricky because GOA is in the Imperial Age and Divine is in the Castle Age. And if there is any sort of pushback from GOA at this point, what that will force Divine rather to do is to keep producing units, and then that's going to really hamper his chances to go to the Imperial Age, and then he's going to be hard stuck in the Castle Age up against an Imperial Age from the HRE. And that's going to make things really tricky, but this is where things are going to spice up for a bit. So we've had a bit of a quiet game so far. We've talked a lot about strategy and possible options for the two players, but now things are going to start to spice up, right? We're here at the 17-minute mark of the game. Divine is starting to push on in. He does have a villager lead, but that won't last for too much longer with the Palace of Swabe in for GUA. GUA, you know, he's got Imperial Age in, doesn't really have Imperial Age units. And did lose that outpost in the end, so no cannon emplacement. So this is going to be a lot of pressure from Divine, you can see it. But if you zoom out, right, we see the impending doom possibly coming in for GUA at the moment. But if you zoom out for a minute, if GUA holds and he's able to push back, he will have Imperial Age units up against Castle Age units. And so the pendulum, if it swings, it's going to swing in a very big way. What Divine has to do at this point is to make sure the pendulum doesn't swing. He's got to make sure he does some significant damage, and that damage could be in the form of taking out the Relics Cathedral and maybe stealing a couple of these relics. See the Spearman brace against cavalry, and there's quite a lot of cavalry. He's going to lose Culverin. That's an expensive unit to lose, but Mangonels deployed. Decent shot off on the Spearmen. Quite a few of them go down, and the good thing for Jiwei, as long as he has these Mangonels, it's going to be tricky for the English to kind of push on in. The only concern for Jiwei, though, is he's up against English trebuchets. The ranges on these guys are insane. 16 tiles range. He's even got Network of Castles bonus here. And so Jiwei is going to find it difficult without Springles to try and challenge this area. Cavalry pushing on in. So to the Mangonels, but the Mangonels back away for now. Wants to find the choke points really here, Jiwei, if he can. Divine starting to push on in. Mostly Spearmen, mostly crossbows, which actually do really well against the cavalry for the most part. Has two Springles. Oh, oh god, he's taken out the Mangonels. He's taken two out so far. That's a massive push. Jiwei is really struggling now. He is really struggling now. A lot of production going around the back, which is exactly what he needs, because of course he plays it front and they're just going to be taken out, which is obviously what he doesn't want. He's going to try and scoop up some of the relics now, but might be challenged. Yeah, Divine spots this, going to take out the prelate, it seems, and then, you know, try and pick up that relic himself, I guess. It's looking tricky here for Jiwei. He has to find a way to hold on. He does have the villager lead now, so bear that in mind. The pendulum is starting to swing. Make no mistake about it, it is starting to swing. Right, trebuchets, they continue to fire off. Spearmen torching things down as well, and a lot of infrastructure going out. Does have a Culverin. Gonna try and snipe a few things, but as soon as he moves forward, Divine starts to edge a bit further forward as well. Look at the miniature number 65, 67. It just continues to come out here. It's pumping. And there's going to come a point where Divine has 200 population, and the question is, does he dive? I mean, it feels like he's being a bit tentative. I'm not so sure about this, Divine. Because if it doesn't go soon, then GUA has a good economy. He's going to start to get those Imperial Age upgrades, and then he's going to be out-teched in a big, big way. And I think it's still got early man-at-arms, would you believe? I think man-at-arms is a good option for the HRE at this. Well, maybe not, actually, not with his number of crossbows. This is a very hard army to counter, isn't it? Maybe mass siege, I guess, is the way forward. But Imperial Age doesn't really give you much in the way of that. Maybe some upgrades it gives you, but yeah. Either way, cavalry diving on in. That choke point, that could be huge. Mangonel shots. Oh god, that's a massive shot there. A lot of those longbows and crossbows getting rocks in the face, and they're getting hurt, that's for sure. The capital town centre is under fire. A lot of units backing away now for the English. Take some big hits from the mangonels, and that's what GUA needs, really. He needs to find a way to push this back. And might lose the town centre. Oh, smash and grab with the relics. The monk taking it out. He's lost the regnants. He's lost his capital town centre. GUA feeling the pressure. Look at this, Divine edging towards that 200 population, and if he keeps poking and prodding, doing some damage, eventually, once he reaches population cap, the resources will be banked up, and then that will help him to get to the Imperial Age. He's really mining this gold vein hard. And of course, don't forget, when he does get to the Imperial Age, he will have enclosures, gives him a lot of population efficiency, and he's actually starting to get the relics behind this. He's already got one in the grasp, and picking up another soon, I would have thought. I don't think he has a monastery. Did he pick up the one before and just deposit it in his base? I'm not so sure. Oh, he does have a monastery though. Okay, he's working on it. He's working on it. He's cooking. But I gotta say, the longer this goes on, I mean, GUA's military count is actually starting to build up, and he's kind of equaled on population space. Look at the Palace of Swabia. He's working overtime. And the crazy thing is the villager lead he has now, these villagers are gathering 50% faster for the best part. Mangonel's covering, threatening to move a bit further forward. Mangonel looking to take out the network of castles bonus, which actually would be a good start to the engagement if you can make that work. Edging towards that 200 population. Village coming on the right side, probably for the gold, I would have thought. Yeah, there it is. Both players are mildly on stone, not too heavily mining it. 3 trebuchets for the English will start to work on it, but I think he needs to push on in. Divine is being really patient, but he might be waiting way too long, because, I mean, I suspect some upgrades should be coming in now for the HRE. Yeah, elite man-at-arms. And possibly hand cannoneers popping out soon as well. Those population cap, more or less, so maybe not. He's going to have to build some houses back at home, it seems. But I think the longer the game goes on, GUA's in a good spot. Like, he's got 4 mangonels, got elite upgrades in. Divine's stuck at Castle Age at the moment, and Divine can't really tech up just now, because I don't think he has enough. If he techs up now, he's going to be pushed heavily. I don't know if he has enough to defend with. We'll have to see. He's probably going to have to opt for a Berkshire Palace, but we shall see if he manages to get there. He spent a bunch of resources. Yeah, he's getting upgrades himself, getting armoured clad. He's looking to take a fight potentially here. But so is GUA. One thing to bear in mind, GUA has... it doesn't have a blacksmith? Holy smokes, is that intentional? Oh, so maybe it's the no blacksmith challenge from GUA. He's getting elite army tactics at least. That's kind of crazy. Has he forgot about the blacksmith? Like, he's got the wood for it. I'm so confused. Oh, he's got a blacksmith now. He's researching iron and the mesh first. Doesn't look like he's waiting for it though. He wants to push on in. He's got population capacity, right? He might as well. He's got banker resources as well, so even if GUA loses units now, he's going to be able to replace it. Divine can say the same thing, but the problem is, if Divine has to replace his army, that means there's no resources for the Imperial Age. Being pushed away from gold, which is a big deal. He doesn't have enough gold for the tech up, and yeah, this is the pendulum swinging, right? We talked about the potential of this happening. Man-at-Arms trying to... Oh, massive mangonel shot! No, Spearman get out of the way in the end. But it's the mangonels. It really is a problem. Although Sprinkles might start to delve and destroy them. Does lose the culverin in the end. He's taking the fight here. Man-at-Arms on the front line for the HRE, taking out a lot of the spearmen. A couple of those hand cannoneers on the back line. Cavalry going in, charging in. Looks like the man-at-arms, I mean, they're up against a direct count, but even then, he's struggling to hold this off, Divine. There's a couple of longbows sprinkled in, but the gap has been closed. Man-at-arms continue to pressure on in, and Springles, 3 of them, are backing away from the mangonels, because the mangonels are getting a little bit closer each time, and going to start to maybe focus fire on the crossbows. That would be ideal. But the man-at-arms, they're in good numbers. Springles focusing on the mangonels, gets one, gets the second. Big push-off for sure. Man-at-Arms come from the east position, pushing away the mangonels. So the Man-at-Arms doing a good job there for the English for sure. Here comes another batch of Man-at-Arms over the HRE, and yeah, this is a problem. I mean, at a distance, the crossbows get a lot of value, but the trouble is there's not much of a meat shield anymore for the English, and that allows the HRE Man-at-Arms to dive on in. Trebuchets are exposed in a big way, so might start to lose them. And maybe even the Springles, if it is the Springles, that's a problem, because he's still got Mangonel or 2. This is looking disastrous for the Divine. Has to find a way back into the game. He's being pressurized. The pendulum certainly has swung, and what comes down out of this now is GUA needs to do some critical damage. Trouble is he doesn't have any siege, right? So he's going to dive on in, do some significant damage, but he's got some good static defenses in the form of the town centre and the White Tower. And if he does lose villagers, he will be able to replace them, but he can't afford to lose too many because he doesn't have that much food in the bank. He's still hard stuck in the castle stage, don't forget. That's their biggest problem out of all of this. Because even if he maintains unit production, his units are just not of the same quality of the HRE right now. And blacksmith upgrades are coming in a big way for the HRE. It's got the 2 sacred sites on the flanks of the map. And Divine did scoop up 2 of the relics in the end. Right, well, man-at-arms have been cleared up eventually. Crossbows, despite there being a Castle Age unit, they can still pack a punch in this scenario, of course. But he's got to make sure they've got a meat shield in front of them. Got to make sure they're protected, because if the man-at-arms from the HRE get on top of them, it can be disastrous. A second mangonel on the field for GUA, keeping up the pressure. There's 180 population. Struggling a little bit on food here, GUA. Looks like Divine opting, or trying to get to the next stage, but, you know, he's only got 29 military. Oh, mangonel deploys. Gets a decent shot of the crossbows. Looks like the man-at-arms beckon away now for the HRE. Villagers coming out to torch on the west side. This could be problematic, although... Oh no, the mangonel! Okay, well, he's going to lose both mangonels now. That's unfortunate for GUA. He's going to dive on in with the man-at-arms now. Doesn't seem to care, and it's understandable so, right? Because he's got plenty of population space. Or, yeah, population taken up. He's almost packed out at 200. And he's got a decent amount of economy and food and gold to come on in to replace. He's actually starting to rebuild his structures. Bear in mind though, man-at-arms is not a unit here for GUA that can just keep on pumping out, because he's up against crossbows, the hard counter. It does look like he's starting to get some horsemen. Might need to take out the Springles. The Springles are still a very good defensive unit for Divine against any siege. Does decap the sacred site on the west side, pulls the villagers away off of gold. And Divine, you know, he's still in the Castle Age, would you believe? Yeah, but I mean, this scenario, I mean, GUA can't push any further. I mean, he's got a good number of man-at-arms, but they're going to be taken out by the crossbows. There's a bit more of a meat shield now for the English to be able to work with. And so GUA has to back away, and this could be coming at a really good time for Divine, because he possibly should... Well, yeah, he's going to be getting the Imperial Age pretty soon. It's going to be the Berkshire Palace. Where is he placing it? Probably in the middle somewhere. There it is. To protect the gold on the hill. I'm a bit surprised not to see him put it a little bit further in the middle, actually, because that way will protect this stone as well. And this gold, as it happens. Either way, sacred sites have been captured, all 3 of them, by GUA, but the central one will be decapped any moment now. And with the Imperial Age now coming in for the English, well, they are not out of the game just yet. But the biggest fear I have is the economy took a bit of a hit. There's a lot of idle time. He's stuck at sort of 113 villagers, which I don't think is enough, even if he does get enclosures. I mean, it could be enough. The issue is that GUA has got a massive population of villagers, 142. That's going to build up a great economy, a great bank of resources. And then at some point, it's going to push on out. GUA running into the Berkshire Palace a little bit, backing away for now. Looking to maybe buy some time and then work from there. Group up together, and then find a way through. Berkshire Palace in range of the tower, or I should say the tower's in range of the Berkshire Palace. Thankfully though, the villagers here for GUA can continue to mine away, and sending a couple of horsemen around the east side, looking to snipe out even more villagers. But look at the resources banked up, right? GUA, 2,300 food, 1,700 gold. He could afford Imperial Age again if he wanted to. He's going to go for a keep in the forward position just to protect all these farming economy. Understandably so. He's been under siege already. Doesn't want to run the risk of that happening again. I got to say though, I think GUA should push, because he just spotted Divine go to the Imperial Age. So it's before the Imperial Age upgrades come in for the English. Now it could be a really good time to take the fight. As I say that though, it doesn't take long for the Imperial Age upgrades to come on in. So Elite Crossbow is already in play for the English. Keep came in at a perfect time, I got to say. Man-at-arms diving on in. Spearman bracing that front line for Divine. Takes out Mangonel. Cavalry diving on in. But they're going to be absolutely torn to pieces by both the crossbows and also the spearmen. Man-at-arms going to try and break their way through the spearmen numbers and then go on to the crossbows. But this is going to be a bit of a massacre, and the English are going to hold this line. The Man-at-arms are just not the right unit for the HR at this point. How do they get a bit of a tech switch? I mean, with this composition, crossbows and spearmen, it's going to be hard to deal with. Maybe, just maybe, it's got to be mangonels for GUA potentially. We have to see what he can do. Either way, English heading back, getting some outposts to protect the area, and look to build a staging ground to attack with. Now, one thing to consider on cliffside is gold is an issue, right? This primary gold was never fully taken. And when we think about gold situations, he does have the flanks, to be fair, being taken. This is actually a key issue in this map. He might need to get some outposts or keeps here in this location, because gold is going to be a problem for the HRE if it's not protected. The English can rely on enclosures for now. As we see this, it's going to be relying on those crossbow numbers. Horseman switch is in play, though. And they are elite horsemen, so he should be able to get a good surround. If he can get a good surround, that'd be huge. Mangonels popping out again for GUA. And the economy is just looking so good. It's going to start taking out the outpost and push on in. As he does so, good damage output coming from the crossbows and picking off units as we speak. Oh, Mangonel deploys, doesn't quite land cleanly there on the top of the hill. So it has to back away for now. Man-at-Arms going to hold that front line for now, but he's soaking up pressure. Good Mangonel shot on the crossbows. Does lose one Mangonel though. Decent number of Springald, 4 of them in total for the English. Pushing the HRE Mangonels back somewhat. We have to see what he can achieve now. Does have cannon emplacements here. HRE should get another shot off. Does get a decent shot off of the Mangonel. But he's starting to lose them. That's the big concern. Does have a Culverin, which is starting to snipe some of the Springalds. He loses the Culverin in the end, the HRE, but he's pushing on forward, even with Man-at-Arms and Horsemen. He's making it work. And Divine, he's starting to slowly run out of... well, he's going to not get that outpost up in the end, and so he's going to be pushed back in terms of network of castles bonus. Slowly being pushed back, and yes, certainly feel like the pendulum's certainly swinging. It feels like the English are running out of steam. Doesn't really have as much as siege as you would want. There are no trebuchets on the field. He had 3 earlier on, but those were taken out earlier on in the big push from GUA. So GUA can re-establish himself back now and possibly hold on. We have to see if he can. Continue to get those upgrades, and he's doing just that. Divine, though, with the Imperial Age in now, it's starting to catch up a little bit, looking to get incendiary arrows, which will pack a punch for the crossbows and longbowmen alike, and is getting the blacksmith upgrades as well. Although, actually, the outpost might go up in the end if GUA doesn't pressurize soon enough. Starting to move out with siege. I've got to say, GUA's army is pretty low, but like this is kind of an interesting concept in this game right now, because they're both at population capacity, essentially. GUA is kind of going for a low army number, and why that's kind of crazy is because if he takes a decent amount of trades, he's going to bank up a lot of resources. He's got a greater economy, right? Just more villages now. They're banking up a lot of resources, so eventually you have a large bank of resources, and then he can pull on that and maybe start to maybe even delete villages perhaps, and then make one big push. Either way, that's a lot of spearmen for Divine, so we're talking about taking cost-effective trades for the HRE, but he's not going to be able to up against that number of spearmen. Crossbowmen behind the crossbows are a little bit dangerous. The horsemen, they'll take care of them, but the trouble is they have to get on top of them, and the spearmen are good numbers. It's going to be tricky to get around. One Mangonel. Now, he does have cannon in place inside the outpost, so the spearmen may be overshooting a little bit, getting a bit too close for comfort. They're going to be taken out, and that allows the horsemen now to tank on that front line, but also, more importantly, once the spearmen are gone, start to engulf and surround the crossbows. And without a meat shield in front of the crossbows, they could be going down pretty quickly. Man-at-Arms absorbing a lot of the fire as well, and of course crossbows do counter them, so they won't be faring too well in this fight, but the horsemen should be okay. But he's got decent numbers, network of castles, and possibly network of citadels now by now. He does have network of citadels, so it's going to be a good attack speed on these units. 40% in total. That's pretty heavy. Oh, going for the forward stone, and that's unfortunately not going to work. And like you can imagine earlier on, if the Berkshire Palace was sort of down in this position, he would be ranging all these units, making a bit more of a fight of this. Slowly but surely, though, Divine is being pegged back. GUA, look at the economy, look at the resources. Yeah, he's climbing. Look at the food income, 3,000 per minute, almost 2,000 gold. Have to say though, the game, if it does go to a super late game, gold could become an issue for the HRE. They don't have enclosures like the English do. The enclosure is going to be getting the free gold passively from the farms, and so that keeps the economy ticking and talking for the English. There's plenty of gold in the bank, and Relics Cathedral helping with that. 2 sacred sites as well. Mangonels, they're getting some really good shots, 3 of them, but only 21 military means he's not really got too much of a meat shield in front of the Mangonels. Has to keep the Mangonels alive really for as long as possible here. But yeah, with that number of villages, 145. He's really banking up all the resources. Gets a keep on the west side to protect the sacred site and the gold. And even a keep on the east side for the gold and the stone as well. So he's definitely got a good control of the side of the maps. And that's critical, right? Because on cliffside, well, everything's in the center of the map in the horizontal plane in this scenario. And, well, he's got good control of it. Divine really focusing everything down in the middle. And his wall's obviously a little bit more conservative. And he's given up a lot of the map and a lot of the resources on the map. And this would be a totally different picture. So, for example, if the English had a keep here, denying some of the gold, but at the moment he's mining gold very, very well. GUA didn't actually get another mining camp here. So he's long mining the gold at that point. And he's even got the back gold, or the primary gold to resolve to if he needs to. He's got that still ready for the taking if he has to. Possibly about to engage. Oh, Mangonels gets a good shot on the spearman, I gotta say. I mean, takes a lot of the HP off of them. We can get a couple of shots off, that'd be impressive, but it's got a couple of springalds here, the English, so is focusing on the Mangonels, takes them out. At least took... did he take... Yeah, I think he must have taken out one at one. Maybe he's got the culverin at least. Spearmen, they're doing the great work. Look how many horsemen died in that fight. The spearmen, it's exactly what he needs here, the English. And Divine mopping up a heck of a lot of units again. Down to 17 military GUA. What's going on? It feels like maybe the English might be coming out on top here. That was a big fight, and he took it really well. GUA is kind of in trouble in terms of military numbers, but factor in, like, ultimately, the thing about the HRE is it's very difficult to kill them off and demolish them because of the fact that, well, they've got emergency repairs and they've got cannon emplacements right now doing a lot of work. It's getting you keep on the right side for that gold vein, denying even more gold. And this is actually a problem for the English because that's actually the only gold vein that's mineable. So the English are going to have to resolve to, well, just enclosures, really, and it doesn't really have trade access to it. This is looking rough for the English, for sure. Pushing on forward, though. This could be the big push maybe he needs to see out the game. He's actually got a couple of man-at-arms sprinkled on there, so the English do man-at-arms incredibly well. Mangonels get some great shots, though. Does have an outpost or two. With no emplacements, though, so it doesn't really add much to the fight, apart from the network of citadels, which is not too shabby either way, to be fair. Adding a couple of lance connections, which are kind of like glass cannons, but boy, oh boy, do they do a lot of damage when they get close to the melee units like this. Losing the Mangonels, still get some good Mangonel shots off. Does have a cannon placement on the outpost on top of the hill. But again, another meat grind of a fight, I gotta say, and it feels like Divine once again holding. But, I mean, ultimately, getting control of gold here is huge. Oh, he's going to snipe out a Bombard? No, the Bombard is barely taking any damage, I gotta say. It's got 2 Bombards, adding in the siege now. This is what Divine needs for this bigger push. Like, Divine's been holding on for quite some time with military units, but he's not been able to take out any structures as he does have control of the middle of the map. And now, all of a sudden, it looks like GUA is the one trying to get control of the map with that keep. And it's quite likely that goes up. But the trouble is that 2 Bombards, if they're heading in a bit closer, they might be able to do some significant work on that. There were 2 of them. Only 1 left remaining. Where did they all go? Oh, there's another one somewhere. Oh, the coverings could do some good work. Horseman can look to try and take it on the outpost. Does he have the emplacement just yet? Not yet. Can't afford it here, Divine. Actually, to be fair, Divine could afford it. I think they should be able to. No, it doesn't. It's yeah, it's GUA that couldn't afford it. Emergency repairs, as you can see, is being used. So the Bombards are going to work their way through, but it'll take some time with emergency repairs. Losing the Mangonel, Horseman diving in. There's a lot of man-at-arms, though, so those man-at-arms will trade really well. Wait, where are the villagers off to? Wait, GUA, is it sacrificing villagers at that point? I mean, it wouldn't be necessarily a bad idea to unlock some population space, although having said that, it's got 155 population in total, so it's not really a problem. He's just losing a lot of horsemen. Losing the keep, that was only just recently built. A lot of springalds, 2 Bombards, and yeah, military-wise, Divine's looking in a good spot. What a cracking game of Age of Empires 4, I gotta say. Definitely been enjoyable to watch this one. Divine just sneakily moving a bit further forward, but not engaging just yet. He's building up a force, building up the siege. He's getting ready to push out soon, I suspect. Two Bombards starting to work on the outpost, and this is the concern actually for the HRE. He's got to find a way to deal with those Bombards, because there's 3 of them now, and as he continues to push on through, they're the units that are going to cause significant damage. Like, he takes out the keep, and then you know, static defense-wise, he's not looking in a good spot, but he does have a couple of culverins. But look at the springalds; they're doing such good work. Took out one of the culverins in the end. Did lose 2 springalds to do so, but the springalds are a really cost-effective choice here, I've got to say. And he's killed so many of those horsemen. I've got this arbaletier getting so much damage with the good meat shield in front of the man-at-arms. Arbaletier competition incredibly strong, and the reason why it's so strong, by the way, is because the English farms are gathering so much food, 3,200 food. More importantly, the 800 gold, all coming from enclosures. That is a decent amount. Loses the Regent's Cathedral, slowly but surely pushing on forward. GUA under all sorts of trouble. 28 military to 64, and Divine, he's playing this incredibly well. The enclosures upgrade on the farms is making his army or his civilization really population efficient. He's gathering almost 800 gold for, you know, villages he's got on food, really. Spearman going to brace against a horseman. That's the fight he wants to take. Villagers kind of try and come out to take out the siege. Wait, did Jiwei just pull everything? I think he pulled up all the villages and farms anyway, so if he loses the villages, that's a problem. But he realizes he needs to push back, but there are, you know, the 3 bombards are backing away. Springald is backing away. He's taking the fight. I mean, Jiwei, he might lose everything. If he loses this fight, I think it might be GG. It might be game over. It's looking rough for sure. The armor composition looking a little bit strong here for the English. All that maybe remains to be added is hand cannoneers to the fight, but doesn't necessarily need to. We'll have to see. Yeah, this is looking good for Divine, I gotta say. Jiwei lost a lot of villagers, by the way. He can replace them with the Palace of Swabi very quickly, but he's struggling on food, right? He loses a lot of the farmers. Okay, yeah, that's a lot of empty farms. Town center is on fire. Bombards, are they going to be coming out once again for Divine? They are. They're starting to take out the siege workshops, and there's a lot of stables on the west side that it might be taken out. But it doesn't need to, because Divine takes the victory on Cliffside. Jiwei taps out. What a cracking game of Age of Empires 4. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did on YouTube, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. More importantly, subscribe to the channel for all things Age of Empires 4.